Time once again for this, the most self-indulgent video I make every year. The one that's very specifically for me and not you. Stop watching right now. I didn't say you could watch. Okay, you can watch, but only if you promise to like and subscribe. Cool. Anyway, this is my 5th year making this vid. Damn, time, what the hell? Chill out. Was 2022 good for albums on the whole? Yeah, I'd say so. I don't think it peaks quite as high as, hell, any other year I've made this list for, but the baseline quality hasn't been this strong since 2019, and this is a hella cool list, and quite a diverse one too. Last year, loud genres really struggled. Not true in 2022. Tons of hardcore and metal all over this list, and I'm excited to share it with y'all. So let's get right to those honorable mentions, shall we?
Do you want me to lie? 'Cause I can do it, baby, I can do it.
Following up the decent but overlong and kinda underwhelming facts this one, Coheed and Cambria's sequel is just an improvement in every way. Shorter runtime, better tunes, a lot more creative spark and variety across its 13 tracks, and it just feels like there's a lot more ambition to this one. Plus, it's pretty sweet of Claudio to make this arc of the Coheed story about his son, basically anyways. The tunes rock pretty hard, they're pretty dang catchy, there's just enough of a prog flair to keep it interesting. It's not their best album, but it's a damn solid return to form. Ooh man, I usually don't go for this kind of dumb and loud post-hardcore, but the Nico Riot's Derelict just hits a sweet spot for me. Hell, I've been getting into a lot of similar stupid albums lately. Maybe this was a turning point. The riffs are absolutely killer, there's a chaotic and angry energy running throughout that never wears itself too thin. It's kinda like if after Leviathan, Mastodon went in more of a hardcore direction instead of a prog one, basically. It's just banger start to finish, and it makes me want to rock the hell out, man. Vaporwave is not really my scene, glitch pop is not really my scene, electronic music is not really my scene, but Death Dynamic Shroud finding the exact midpoint of all three on Dark Life turns out that may well be my scene. This is just one of the best sounding albums of the year, mostly. The songs aren't all that memorable, and a few of them are a bit grating at the best of times, but the Plunderphonic experimentation and the wonky, unexpected turns these songs take, paired with the stellar production, just makes this absolute ear candy, nearly start to finish. I won't say that Perius' take on 2000s prog metal on the Signal Hearth Red Space is particularly forward-thinking, but god, it's just so good to hear some honest-to-god prog metal that isn't watered-down gencore or power prog. It's such a rarity these days, and the tunes and epic scope are there to back it up, kinda sounding like a less heavy Between the Buried and Me, basically. And that closing track, god, I get absolute chills by the end. One of the best songs of the year in any genre. It's so good. Check this out if you need that quick prog metal fix, y'all.
Feeling alright, moving fast so you can't cross my...
Gay. Nah, but in a year lacking for standout synth pop, being finally convinced to check out Muna's self-titled towards the very end of the year was one of the best things that could have happened, because these are the bops I've been looking for. Upbeat and bright, queer euphoria tinge of an undercurrent of heartbreak, but choosing to live life in the moment and keep pressing forward through it all. If the middle of the album didn't stall out a little, this may have made the list proper. It's just such a delightful listen, man. Hello there, ambient album from a progressive death metal band. How are you doing today? Yeah, Blood Incantation's Time Wave Zero was an unexpected but much welcome delight. A small little slice of space ambient filled to the brim with gorgeous soundscapes and compelling melodic loops, pretty much laser targeting the type of music I like to put on as background noise for working or sleeping. Just so chill, man. If another album hadn't come along and basically obsoleted this one's function for me, it'd probably be on the list proper too. Damn strong year. One of the earliest obscure little discoveries of the year for me, and one that's remained pretty dang cool all year long. We Broke the Weather self-titled brings a neat little slice of prog rock and metal, tinged more by Neil Morrissey and neo-prog than anything, but with a bit more edge and an underlying environmental theme alongside some damn killer grooves and hooks that make it all that more compelling. The vocals are a bit of a sticking point for me, and it's not the most exciting prog I've ever heard, but definitely a band I'm gonna be keeping an eye on at least.
Good morning.
Oh lord, 4, now we're getting to the real heavyweights. The kinds of albums that would have made the list proper in basically any other year. God damn. Hands From Up There by Black Country New Road is one of the most acclaimed and praised albums of 2022, and I love it for basically the same reasons as everyone else. Compelling and complex compositions, a powerful emotional throughline about heartbreak, and just, God, it's so pretty. The back half far outshines the front half for me, only thinking it off the list proper, but it really is just as good as everyone says it is, no doubt about it. Return of the Champions. Polymouth's first proper release in years, Zenith, is a neat little slice of the same instrumental jazz prog that made me fall in love with them back in 2018, now with tighter, snappier compositions and more aggressive energy that distinguishes this just enough from House of Wisdom that it never quite feels like a retread. Unfortunately, I can really only fall in love with this band for the first time once, but this still gets a big hell yeah from me, even if its overly brief runtime has me starving for more. Killer stuff though.
The scaffolding holding the bread from their mouths as it rouses the work at them.
This didn't make the list? Yeah, this got knocked out of the top 10 at the last minute. It's basically tied with number 10 proper, and it sure as hell deserves to be, because Ashen Spire's angry, political, distinctly Scottish take on avant-garde black metal and hostile architecture feels like a modernization of A Forest of Stars in all the best ways. Tighter and angrier, but with all the same theatrical flair and affinity for the weird that makes both these bands incredibly compelling. If you're still not convinced, I don't know what else to tell you. You're missing out. Right, that'll do it for the honorable mentions. Let's get to the list proper, the top 10 best albums of 2022. Starting with number 10. So we've got a tight and angry, distinctly political and avant-garde, hardcore album, not black metal this time. Got it. Imagine putting out a critically acclaimed album in 2005, disappearing off the face of the earth for 17 years, and then coming back and dropping another critically acclaimed album in 2022 like it was no big deal. Tool literally could never. They only made it 13 years, and Fear Inoculum sucked. Anyways, with The Loser, Gospel did at least modernize their brand of progressive hardcore and screamo, namely they toss a delicious organ into the mix and pretty much call it a day, but hey, that organ goes a long way. I mean, it also helps that the songs are kinetic and dynamic, bursting to the brim with killer riffs, fantastic drum and bass grooves, and subtler, more progressive moments of build and atmosphere to keep the album from ever getting exhausting or overwhelming. And it's paired with angry, political commentary on the mistreatment of the homeless in America, which is sold excellently through lead vocalist Adam Dooling's unhinged screams. Honestly, this outdoes their debut for me. It's just one of the coolest records of the year, man. Number 9. Those of you that have been watching long enough know that I maybe kind of have a thing for violence, or at least violent and chaotic music. Anyways, here's Weege Dude. I love me some good black metal, but There's Always Blood at the End of the Road may be a bit of a weird one, even for me. This isn't really atmospheric black metal, just raw, unfiltered, blackest of the black metal. Repetitive, hypnotic, and almost unrelentingly aggressive riffing, pretty much start to finish, but god damn are those some riffs. God damn do these guitars just sound excellent. Roaring and ferocious, wild beasts that have come to tear you to shreds and pick every last bit of flesh off your bones. And like, considering the whole, get you to the state of the world, this kind of incredibly pissed off violent music is just exactly in my wheelhouse right now. The kind of music that gets you amped up to beat your oppressors over the head until they fit into the shallow graves you've dug for them. Or something like that. It's certainly not the deepest and most poignant album of the year, but it satisfies a primal urge in the way that few other albums ever have for me, and I love it to bits for that. Bits and pieces. Number 8. Anyways, if we're talking the kind of black metal that is usually in my wheelhouse, oh yeah, now this is the stuff. Just listen to how massive this sounds. Hymnals As Eternal as the Starless Kingdom of Sorrow comes off to me as, like, slower Golden Ashes. A bit more measured and contemplative, a bit larger in scope, but the same integration of crushing riffs and dense textured synthscapes to give it that astral sound I love so much. And it turns out, maybe I like that even more. It veers closer to Midnight Odyssey almost, though not quite at the same scale. Its own little galaxy, rather than the vastness of the universe, perhaps. Anyways, this is the kind of black metal album to put on, lie down, and space out to for a good 40 or so minutes. Where, yeah, like with Golden Ashes, my only real gripe is that I wish this were longer. If I'm gonna appreciate the enormity of space, I need something enormous, man. This isn't really a knock against this album, which is smart enough to not wear its one sound too thin, and goddamn do I love that sound. It's my black metal album of the year for a reason, but it almost feels like a promise for an even better follow-up that I can't wait to hear. Number 7. Anyways, it's been so long since this next album came out that we've kind of just wrapped all the way back around. Once again, it's time to gear up for another hot girl summer, y'all.
It's not the diamonds. It's not the pearls.
I feel bad that I nearly dismissed Beyonce's Renaissance entirely. Yada yada, dance music isn't really my thing. Yada yada, it's more of a DJ setlist than an actual album. Yada yada. And the thing is, I mean, both of those are true, but the former is why it hit me so hard when I did start to get it, and the latter is just why the album works. It keeps you grooving along for an hour straight with a wide variety of different dance jams across a dozen genres that all flow together so seamlessly you barely notice the time passing. It's kinda brilliant.
Nobody can judge me but me. I was born free.
It's also overtly and unapologetically queer, even if Beyonce herself isn't. These tunes are gay as hell girl power anthems, and I'm a gay as hell girl who needs some goddamn power, man. I'm that girl, alien superstar, cuff it, break my soul, church girl, plastic off the sofa, Virgo's groove, heated summer, Renaissance. Any of these could be the song of the summer, and they're all on the same album, man. It's so magnetic. I still come back to it fairly regularly because it's both easy to listen to and just packed to the brim with bops. Biggest surprise of the year for me, easily. Number 6. Coming in at number 6 is the album I'm most unsure of because this was the very last album I got to for my 2022 collection, and even now, I'm not sure if I'm overrating it due to recency bias or maybe even underrating it. While not quite my absolute favorite hardcore release this year, we'll get to that in just a bit, Greek Len by Birds and Row is easily the most exciting. It's kinetic, melodic, and revolutionary, a fast-paced and aggressive screamo style that ebbs and flows towards the more mellow and the crushing in equal measure, and the whole thing just flows so seamlessly. Even if not every track is a standout, they all have their place and help the album function as a whole. Of course, plenty of songs are standouts, which helps a ton. And the lyrics, goddamn, this album has such breadth in its political stakes that it really fully captures what it feels like to live in the 2020s so effectively, it's almost scary. That's what I mean by revolutionary. A revolutionary anger, directed right at the ghouls of capitalism haunting each and every one of us. Pair that with, again, some of the best hardcore of the decade, some of the best tunes of the year, and you've got an album that's just so damn cool. I have a feeling this is only gonna grow on me with time. Check back in a few years. Number 5. And here's the part where I fall in line with what a lot of my fellow critics have said, but I mean, like, sometimes the album is just that good, you know?
I'm here today but don't belong. I'm worked until the dead is gone. The upside of it, the upside of it.
If you're looking for grand sweeping rock with lots of indie pop and heartland rock influences, then boy howdy do I have an album for you. Gang Infused Angel in Real Time is large in scope and in sound. Soaring choruses, driving energy, and an underlying beauty to it all, where for even as good as the tunes are, and don't get me wrong, they're really good, they tend to fade into the background, letting the lyrics, the narrative take center stage. And what you'll find there is one of the most emotionally evocative, heartwarming yet bittersweet albums of the year.
I will hear you in everything.
Where frontman David Lopepe is grappling not only with the death of his father, but the uncovering of all the secrets he kept. The lineage he hid, the brothers and sisters he'd never met, all while trying to come to terms with why the man he loved the most would keep so many things from him. It's a take on grief I don't think I've quite ever heard, written and performed with so much passion that every song hits like a truck, and even if it can get a little drawn out, it's an emotional journey worth taking through to the very end. Just beautiful stuff. Number 4. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. They did it again.
I hope you're relieved. The apple fell far from the tree.
Let me just state up front that Songs for the Newly Reclusive by Actor Observer is no pareidolia by Actor Observer, which in hindsight is not only the best album of 2018, not only one of my favorite albums period, but just straight up the best hardcore album I've ever heard. Songs for the Newly Reclusive is not that. It's just really damn great post-hardcore. A bit more mid-tempo, a bit of a quarantine album vibe to it, all while taking shots at toxic masculinity, generational trauma, and the fascist cult of the American right wing, amongst other targets.
Victim to this
The riffs are punchy and melodic, the hooks are powerful and memorable, the song structures are adventurous and compelling. It's just Actor Observer doing what they do best. My only real gripe with the album is that it's so short, barely running past the half-hour mark. But on the other hand, if you're gonna release a 32-minute 7-track album and every single last one of those tunes is great, leaving not a single second of that tight runtime wasted, well then damn, I gotta respect that, don't I?
Number 3.
I'm actually kinda struggling to figure out what to say about this next album. Every time I listen to it, all I can really say is, whoa. Woe by An Abstract Illusion is not a particularly special album. It doesn't have any wild twists, it doesn't have any grand concept, it doesn't even have a particularly fresh or original sound. The wheel is remaining firmly invented here. What Woe does do is just succeed, triumph through sheer competence. Outstanding riffs, soaring melodic leads, delightfully multifaceted song structures, a satisfying level of progressive complexity without ever getting weighed down by being overly technical or wanky, fantastic production, it's the complete package, y'all. Like, in terms of sheer quality of progressive metal in 2022, this is the peak. I just love listening to this thing. The way it all flows so smoothly start to finish, the way it's kinda like subdivided into different movements, yet every song does just enough to stand out on its own, the way the band's not afraid to delve into both moments of unsettling dissonance and serene beauty without ever losing the intensity and grandiose feel of their sound at its core. Man, it's not an album I want to talk about or think about, I just want to sit back and soak it all in. So damn good.
Number 2.
So, this is gonna seem like a weird pick for this high up on the list, and arguably it shouldn't even count, but you know what? My list, my rules, and it just feels right to me, you know? Echoes of a Celestial Ruin is a compilation of 3 space ambient albums released by Midnight Odyssey, 2 back in 2020 and the final alongside the compilation package in 2022. Technically, only about a third of this album is a 2022 album, but on the other hand, screw you. I'd probably still be putting just Echoes of the Telastic Deep by itself in this place anyways, but the entire 3-hour journey is the one I like taking more. Beautiful synthscapes and hypnotic melodic loops, the vastness of space captured within the confines of 3 discs. And these albums are just so useful to me. Can put them on while I'm working when I need some pleasant, non-intrusive background noise. I wrote and revised several scripts to these albums over the past year. Can put them on in bed as white noise to fall asleep to. Can just put them on whenever I need something chill and uncomplicated to listen to. I just love this kind of long-form spacey ambient drone so much. It's so peaceful and pretty. And yes, this is the album that obsoleted Blood Incantation for me, but I mean, they're both great, so... Number 1. And so we reach the very top. The best album of 2022. Also, ironically, one of the first albums I covered in 2022, and the first one I bought, too. And yet, it stuck it out to the bitter end and remained my favorite album of the year. Laden by Aetherius is just straight up the best metal album I've heard in years. Since The Novelist and Warforged in 2019, honestly. And it comes from a genre I've had mixed feelings towards. Technical death metal. An overindulgent, tuneless slog of a genre where every song and every band blends together once you've heard enough of it. Which was also true of Aetherius back in 2018 with their debut album Absentia. It was just another tech death album. So what the hell happened? Simply put, ambition. Laden is massive in scope, as grand as the universe itself, telling the tale of a cosmic deity birthed from the void by the will of humanity, only to turn on them the longer it's forced to bend to their wills, destroying them and the world they inhabit and leaving themselves trapped in an existential nightmare, alone with naught but their own thoughts in the endless expanse of space. It's a kind of terrifying meta-commentary on the nature of religion, but also just a damn good cosmic horror story on its own. Add to that this album just sounds incredible. Every time I go back to it after not having listened to it for a bit, I'm blown away at how tight the riffs are, how strong the melodic leads and solos, how many different twists and turns it takes, just how plain good the guitars, bass, drums, and even symphonic swells all sound. The way it starts out triumphant and grand, but slowly twists into something more ugly and dissonant the longer it goes on, perfectly mirroring its narrative. It's just so good, man. Unquestionably the best album of 2022, and one that sets a new standard for tech death bands everywhere. I'm Crow, and I'll see y'all next year. Peace.